بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أما بعد، رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. ربنا افتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم
وعليكم
السلام
السلام
ورحمة
ورحمة
الله
الله
وبركاته.
وبركاته.
Welcome everyone to our second lesson of the Tuhfatul-Atfal course, where we are going over the basics of Tajweed. If you weren't with us last week, don't worry. We just went over some of the basic introductions. What is Tajweed? Who is everyone? The basic housekeeping of this class. To put it in simple words, just a quick refresher for you guys. We're here to learn the basics of Tajweed, and we're using the text Tuhfatul-Atfal by Sheikh Sulaiman al-Jamzuri, written about 300 years ago. What we're going to do is we'll have a short time, about half an hour, give or take, going over content, and then we'll get the brothers to have some chance doing some practice with their recitation, and then we'll ask them to excuse themselves, and then we'll have a chance for the sisters to practice their recitation. We're also going to have practice sessions. Inshallah, the timetable for that is going to drop right after this lesson, and those will be sent out. These are going to be open for our Wellington team and for those who are watching these recordings beyond Wellington. Any questions before we start? All right, sweet. Let's get stuck into it. Alhamdulillah, today we are starting with the first chapter of the text, and that is the rules of Nun Sakin and Tanween. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read out the original Arabic of the text, go into the explanation, then we'll come back to the translation and see how well we can understand that. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Shaykh writes, أحكام النون الساكنة والتنوين. للنون إن تسكن وللتنوين أربع أحكام فاخذ تبيني. فالأول الإظهار قبل أحرف للحلق ست رتبت فلتعرفي. همز فهاء ثم عين حاء مهملتان ثم غين خاء. والثاني إدغام بستات آتت في يرمولون عندهم قد ثابتت. لكنها قسمان قسم يدغما فيه بغنات بينمو علما. إلا إذا كان بكلمات فلا تدغم كدنيا ثم صنوان تلا. والثاني إدغام بغير غنة في اللام والراء ثم كررنه. والثالث الإقلاب عند الباء ميما بغنات مع الإخفاء. والرابع
Let's say if he uses my feedback that I gave him, because he asked for feedback at the end of our class, and I couldn't think of anything, but I said, oh, maybe you should add diagrams or like visual things for us, or like videos.
Is everything all right, Mustafa? Okay. والرابع الإخفاء عند الفاضل من الحروف واجب للفاضل. في خمسة من بعد 10 رمزها في كلمي هذا البيت قد ضمنتها. صف ذا ثانا كم جاد شخصا قد سما دم طيبا زد في توقا دع ظالما. Alright, going on to an explanation of what all of that means. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The rules of Nun Sakin and Tanween. If you haven't taken notes at all so far, now is the time to start. I want you to start taking notes from now. Use headings and subheadings. This is going to be very crucial. If I'm going too fast, please stop me and I'll go back and explain something. Alright, what is Nun Sakin? Nun Sakin is basically any time the letter Nun appears and it has a sukoon symbol on top of it, or it doesn't have any haraka on top of it. It's just completely neutral. Haraka is fatha, dhamma, or kasra. Tanween. Tanween in its essence is Nun Sakin. It is the sound that comes at the end of a noun. It is pronounced, but it's not written. Tanween is when you have like a double fatha, double dhamma, double kasra, and in, and so that will give you that n sound. That the rulings for that apply the same as the rulings for the Nun Sakin. Nun Sakin is a letter, the letter Nun, well, whereas Tanween is a symbol, as pictured here, and in Un. Sweet. All right. We got 4 rulings for the rules of Nun Sakin and Tanween. إظهار, إدغام, إقلاب, إخفاء. These are the 4 you need to remember. We're going to go into each one in detail now. Number 1, إظهار. إظهار means to make clear or to clarify. And the letters of إظهار are 6 letters, and they're the letters that come from the throat. Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, Ghain, Kha. A, Ha, A, Ha, Gha, Kha. If Nun Sakin or Tanween is followed by any of these 6 throat letters, then the Nun Sakin or the Tanween is going to be pronounced clearly without a Ghunnah. So I'll give you an example. Over here, we have a word. I have the Nun Sakin. I know it's Nun Sakin because the letter Nun has the symbol of Sukoon on top of it. The letter that comes after it is Hamza. It's one of my 6 letters. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this Nun sound nice and clear, but I'm not going to do the Ghunnah. So how would that look like? It would go وَيَنْأَوْنَ وَيَنْأَوْنَ. So you don't stretch the Nun out at all. Nun is made up of 2 components. All right, this is a bit of a sidetrack, but you need to know this as base knowledge. Nun is made up of 2 main components. The first component is the one that you're familiar with. That's the letter N. That's with your tongue touching your teeth. N, N, N. You can feel it. You can put your finger in your mouth. You'll get a feel of the N, N, N. The other component of the letter Nun is the Ghunnah, and that is the nasal vibration. That is 2 harakat. That is when the bridge of your nose sort of vibrates a little bit to add a sort of humming sound to the Nun. And I want you to try this with your mics off. Put both your fingers on both sides of your nose, pinch your nose slightly, not too tight, and go and you should be able to feel the vibration in your fingers. That's what makes the letter Nun. That's your Ghunnah. Now that Ghunnah, for the ruling of Izhar, we just skip that. We're not going to do that. We just do the component of the Nun that comes from the mouth. So that's the tongue touching the teeth. Another example, we have here 2 words. The first word, Min, it has a Nun Sakin. I know it's Sakin because it has the Sukoon symbol on top of it. The next letter directly after it and the word right after it starts with a Hamza. Hamza, big Alif, and Hamza are the same for the purposes of this lesson. That's one of my throat letters. So I know I'm going to do Izhar. I'm going to make this Nun nice and clear. Min alfi. Min alfi. Another example I've got over here. I've got this waw, and it has 2 fathas on top. 2 fathas. 2 fathas is what we call tanween. Tanween meaning that which makes a n sound. An, right? This alif, by the way, is silent. Ignore it. Followed by the next word starts with an alif, with a hamza. I know that's one of my letters of izhar. So what I'm going to do when I approach this Nun sound up here, I'm going to make it nice and clear, but I'm not going to do the ghunnah. I'm not going to make the humming sound. I'm just going to make the n sound. So it would sound like kufuwan ahad. Kufuwan ahad. Kufuwan ahad. All right, a quick refresher. We're going to go back up. All right, if you haven't got this down. The first rule of the rules of Nun Sakin and Tanween are Izhar, okay? And that is if noon is followed by any of these 6 letters, Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, Ghain, Kha, then we're going to make the noon clear, and we're not going to apply the ghunna. Make sure you've got this down. All right, another example. I'll go a bit harder with the Ain. Over here, I have a noon sakin. It has a sukun sign on top of it. The letter following it is Ain. I know from that I'm going to do ilhar. I'm going to make it clear. No ghunna on the noon. So it would sound like أنعمت أنعمت أنعمت. It might feel repetitive, but these rules, they will show up everywhere. These are constant rules. There are very, very few exceptions. For these ones, there's no exceptions. It just keeps going. Anytime noon, sakin, or tanween is followed by a throat letter, it will always be adhar. That's just how it goes. So if once you get that foundational rule set in place, every time you come across it in the Quran, you'll know the right way to read it. You won't need someone to fix up your recitation. Over here, I've got 2 words. Okay, the first one is the last letter of the first one is a noon with a tanween at the bottom of it, two kasras in, and I've got ayn as the beginning of my second word. So I know it's going to be يومئذ عن يومئذ عن. All right, nice and clear. Any questions so far? All right. Amina, are you with us?
Yes.
All right. Run me through what's going on in this word in terms of the noon. So let's start. First step. Where's the noon?
In the middle there with the sukoon on top.
Correct. So we've identified that it's noon second. Good job. Then what?
It's followed by a ghain.
So what's the ruling we're going to apply?
So the noon second will be pronounced clearly without any ghunna.
Correct. MashaAllah. So this word, fasayun, how would you pronounce it?
فسينغضون. ينغضون.
Again?
فسينغضون.
Good. MashaAllah. Fasayun. That way, that noon was nice and clear, but it wasn't held. We didn't do any kind of vibration-y sound. All right. Over here. Mustafa, are you with us?
Yes.
All right. Explain to me what's going on here in terms of the noon sakin and tanween.
So the tanween is the small orange thing on top of the ra.
Okay.
Yeah. And ghain is one of the idhar letters. And so you would pronounce it clearly.
Correct. So give me an example.
What do you mean?
So how would you read it?
Oh. أجر غير.
Again.
أجر أجر غير غير
أجر غير.
أجر غير.
So you're not letting your tongue touch the back of your teeth to make the n sound. You're going أجر غير. I want you to say أجر غير.
أجر غير.
MashaAllah. Good job. All right. So that's enough on the ruling of ilhar. Any questions on ilhar? All right. Now we're moving on to the second rule of nun sakin and tanween. You can do a new subheading for this one. Idgham. Idgham means to merge. And the letters of idgham are found in the word yarmuluna. Nice and easy to remember. Ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, nun. Yarmuluna. If the nun sakin or the tanween comes at the end of a word and is followed by any of these 6 letters in the next word, then the nun sakin or the tanween will be merged into the next letter. I'm going to give you an example soon. Keyword here at the end of a word. This does not apply within the same word. Noon sakin and tanween is followed by a letter of idgham in the same word. The rule is cancelled out. It's only between words that this is an example. All right. I'm going to mess with you a bit more. We can now divide the rule of idgham into two. Idgham is divided into two separate rules. The ruling of idgham with ghunnah and the ruling of idgham without the ghunnah. First, we'll start with idgham with ghunnah. So ghunnah, as I explained before, actually, Abdul Shafi, can you explain to me the ghunnah? I just explained it before.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
The ghunna is the kind of noise, like it's the extension of the noon. It's not the like sharp one.
Correct. And where does that sound kind of come from? Where does that emanate from?
The bridge of the nose, was it? Or
From the nose, yeah.
Yeah.
From the nose. It's that vibration feeling that you get. So that's your ghunnah. So if the noon sakin or tanween is followed by any of these four letters of yanmu, then we should make idgham with the ghunnah. Yanmu is ya, noon, mim, waw. Ya, noon, mim, waw. So for your subheading of idgham with ghunnah, make sure you've got these four letters down. Ya, noon, mim, waw. So method of pronunciation. What we're going to do here is you skip the noon sakin or the tanween and you pronounce just the ghunnah. So it's the opposite of what we were doing before. Remember, I said noon is comprised of two components. The component from the mouth, that's with the tongue touching the teeth, and then the component that comes from the nose, and that's the vibration coming from the nose, right? Here we are going to use the vibration, the ghunnah, and we're going to ignore the tongue touching the teeth. So, for example, I have here, this is a noon sakin. I know it's noon sakin. It has nothing on top, nothing on the bottom. There's no harakat. Followed by the letter waw. What are my letters of idgham with ghunnah? Ya, noon, mim, waw. Wow, there we go. That's one of the four. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip. My tongue is not going to touch the back of my teeth, but I'm still going to make the sound of the vibration from my nose. So it would sound like miujidikum, miujidikum. Notice, if I was to pinch my nose completely, right? I'm going to simulate having a cold, blocked nose, right? I can't, my nose is blocked. I can't do the ghunnah. This would sound like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's just a complete block. To pronounce this, you would have to use your nose. Miujidikum. And I know it's pronounced as if there's a noon. Sorry, it's pronounced as if there's no noon in there. But you still do that ghunnah sound of the noon. I hope that's clear enough. I'll give you another example. Over here, noon sakin, followed by ya. That's one of my four letters that I'm looking for. Ya, noon, mim, waw. Yep, ya is one of those. All right, noon is definitely sakin. So I'm going to say وَمَن يُؤْمِن وَمَن يُؤْمِن وَمَن يُؤْمِن. Now, this ghunnah, you have to hold it for two harakat. Two harakat. Now, what is a harakat? We're going to go over that later on in a further chapter. But to make it easy on you, it's basically the time it takes you to imagine, curl your fist in a ball, your hand in a fist, curl your hand in a fist. The time it takes you to unfurl one finger to be straight. Now do that twice for two fingers, one after the other. وَمَن يُؤْمِن. Those two counts, those two harakat, are the length of time that it should take you to hold this on. Another example. We'll keep it going. So we're now on. Again, what are we talking about? We're talking about the rules of noon sakin and tanween. We're talking about the ruling of idgham, the second of the four. And we're talking how idgham is split into two. We have idgham with ghunnah, without ghunnah. This is the one with ghunnah. I have here two fathas. Two fathas, I know that's an N sound. N. However, it's followed by a waw. So I know what's going to happen is I'm going to have to merge this N sound into that waw. How's that going to sound? مالا وعدده. مالا وعدده. I've done the ghunna, but my tongue has not touched my teeth. مالا وعدده. All right. The last one. Who can I pick on? Guys, I'm gonna start picking people randomly, if you haven't noticed, to give me explanations of what's going on here. Mazen, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
All right. Bismillah. Explain to me what's going on in this last one here.
All right. Well, there is a tanween on top of the ra, so that is our noon. That is our noon sound.
Yep.
And after it is ya, which is one of the letters of idgham with ghunna in yanmu. So we'll pronounce idgham with ghunna, meaning we will not pronounce the noon, but we will hold on the ya with ghunna for 2 counts or 2 harakat.
Correct. So read it out.
خيرا يرى.
MashaAllah. Again.
خيرا يرى.
Perfect. 100%. MashaAllah. All right. Just a quick note. There is no shadda above the waw and the ya. This is called an incomplete idgham as the ghunna of the noon sakin is pronounced. I'm going to tell you, ignore this. Just for now. If you already know the tuhfa, keep note of this, put this in your notes. However, if this is your first time coming across this ruling, I want you just to skip this for now. All right. The rules of noon sakin and tanween. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Examples of idgham with meme and noon. So we're still on the same ruling of idgham with ghunna. All right. We're just giving you examples with different letters. Because remember the 4 letters of idgham with ghunna. Noor. Noor, what are the 4 letters of idgham with ghunna?
ينمو. ياء نون ميم واو.
Perfect. MashaAllah. So now meme and noon. Over here, we need to, let's clarify. The meme and the noon are slightly special in the fact that meme and noon already have a ghunna with them. Meme and noon actually are the only 2 letters with ghunna. The only 2 letters where you're going to engage your nose when you're reading them. And repeat after me with your mics closed. And now I want you to try doing the same by pinching your nose and trying to make that same sound. Yeah, doesn't work. Try with the noon. And again, doesn't work. So because these 2 letters inherently come with their own ghunna, the merging of the noon sakin into them is very seamless. Over here, I have noon sakin with a meme. Meme is one of my letters. It has a shadda, okay? It has a ghunna as well. It comes with its own ghunna, mashallah. Full package included. So this is going to go mim masad. Mim masad. So my tongue hasn't touched my teeth. I haven't made the n sound. I've only made the vibration from my nose. But guess what? The meme already comes with it. I merge the vibration into the vibration of the next letter anyway. Mim said. Over here, we've got the same thing, but this time with a noon. Noon followed by noon makes what sound? Noon as well. Shocker. Min nasirin. Min nasirin. This is going to be the easiest one of them all. The easiest example. Noon followed by noon makes a noon sound. Lovely.
So just to confirm here, this is only when the second meme or noon has a shadda, right?
Correct.
Okay.
But you know why? Because maybe someone can call me out if I'm wrong here. There will not be an example where there is no shadda. So there will be no example of a noon sakin or tanween. Sorry, a noon sakin, yeah, or tanween followed by a meme or a noon that does not have a shadda. All right, next ones. Over here we've got one with tanween instead of a nun. Same rule applies. Same rule. I've got kasratain in and goes into a meme. بخير من بخير من. All right. The last one. Musa, are you with us?
Yep.
All right. Can you please read to me this last one here, or explain to me first what's going on?
So the dal has a tanween of nun sakin, followed by one of the letters of yarmalun with a nun straight after the shadda on top. So you would apply a ghunna for 2 harakat, and then it would sound like yawma idhin na'ima.
MashaAllah, 100%. 10 out of 10 explanation right there. All right. We'll go on. Oh, okay. The nun sakin and the idgham letter should be in 2 different words. Remember what I said? That the ruling of idgham, right, only applies from 2 separate words. If it's within the same word, then the ruling doesn't apply, and instead you're going to do idhar, which is the ruling that we went over before. Who can I pick on? Nazia, are you here?
Yes.
Explain to me idhar, the first thing we went over.
Yeah. So sorry, I just joined a bit late. So izhar is when you've got the 6 letters, then it's if the 6 letters is followed by the noon, then just do noon without gunna. So for these words, for example, it would be dunya. So I would not be humming on that.
Correct. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So you do the noon sound, but you don't make the ghunna. That's your idhar. That's for that's what we call idhar mutlaq. So yeah, dunya, sinwan, and these are the words that were mentioned in the poem before. And then bunyan and qinwan, if you were interested. All right, moving forward, we're still on the rulings of idgham. Now we're going to talk about the idgham without the ghunna. Idgham without the ghunna. All right, the letters of idgham without ghunna are lam and ra. Remember, we started with 6 letters, yarmuluna, and then we took out ya, nun, mim, and waw. So that leaves us with lam and ra. If nun sakin or the tanween is followed by any of these 2 letters, then there is no ghunna while making idgham. So what you're going to do is you're going to skip the nun sakin and the tanween. You're going to skip the ghunna, and you're just going to go straight into the ra and the lam. So really, as a merger, it's such a seamless merge, you're just skipping. Over here, I'll give you an example. I've got my nun, got nothing on top, nothing on the bottom. I know it's sakin. Followed by a lam. Lam is one of my letters of yarmuluna, my letters of idgham. Lam and ra, that's one of the letters of idgham without the ghunna. So I know I'm going to skip the ghunna component of the noon and the n component of the noon. So these 2 words will be pronounced as yakullahu, yakullahu. So if you're reading Surah Al-Ikhlas, if you memorize Surah Al-Ikhlas, which many of you probably do, you wouldn't say وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. No. You merge this noon into the lam by basically skipping it. To make it easy on you, you skip it. And you would say وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Another example. Over here, I've got noon sakin followed by a ra. Slightly different this time. I know that I'm going to skip the noon segment of the noon because it's idgham, it's a merge. I'm also going to skip the ghunna part of it because this is idgham without the ghunna, lam and ra. So it's going to say عَرَّبِّهِ عَرَّبِّهِ. All right. Ammar, are you here?
Yes.
All right, Bismillah. Explain to me this one over here.
Okay. So the qaf has two fathahs on top of it, which is a tanween. So we have to, and it's followed by lam, which is one of the yarmalun letters. So we apply idgham, but lam is not one of the 4 yanmu letters. So we don't do ghunna, and instead we skip the noon sound completely.
Correct. So how would you pronounce it?
مصدقا لما.
MashaAllah. Again?
مصدقا لما.
Barakallah feek. Very good. Fatima, are you here? No. Okay. Azim, are you here?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you explain to me this last one down here?
So we have Ra with Tanween,
Yep.
and then followed by Ra, and which is Idgham without Gunna.
Correct.
So we skip noon sound. So we pronounce it as Ghafurur Rahim.
MashaAllah. Good. Ghafurur Rahim. Okay, alhamdulillah. And that is the rules of Idgham covered up. I'm going to go and we'll do a quick rehash of that. Idgham, remember we said Idgham is split into 2 groups. Idgham starts with Yarmuluna, the first 6 letters, Ya, Ra, Mim, Lam, Waw, Nun, split into 2 parts. We've got Idgham with Ghunna, Idgham without Ghunna. Idgham with Ghunna, so that is if Nun Sakin or Tanween is followed by Ya, Nun, Mim, or Waw, then it's going to, what we're going to do is we're going to skip the N component of the Nun, but we're still going to keep the Ghunna component of the Nun, and thus we would pronounce the Ghunna but without the thing. For example, Miujidikum. Miujidikum. If the second letter, so Mim or Nun, comes with its own natural Ghunna within it, then you just merge the 2 Ghunnas as well into each other. You don't do a double Ghunna. You don't go for harakat. So for example, Mim Masad, or يومئذ نعمة. يومئذ ناعمة. Also, quick disclaimer: the rules of idgham, of merging, only applies to 2 separate letters. The other ones they apply in general. Sorry, these only apply to 2 separate words. Within one word, we do idgham mutlaq. We use the ruling of idghar instead of idgham. Then the second half of idgham is idgham without the ghunna. So that's for lam and ra. We skip the ghunna component and we skip the noon component. So you really just skip the whole noon. يَكُنْ لَهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ, etc. Any questions on that section?
I have a question on not specifically that section, but I guess
Yep.
on maybe tajweed as a whole.
Mm.
So, if we take the example of, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ. So, how important is maybe the wrong word. If a mistake is made when you're pronouncing something like this, how bad is it, I suppose?
So because this is not a mistake of, this is first off we have to consider this is not a contentious mistake. This is not a mistake that comes from a place of contempt. You're not making this mistake because you're trying to violate the words of Allah. Someone who makes this mistake makes it genuinely because they just don't know any better. Okay, that's the first part. Second part is that this mistake does not change the meaning of the word of the ayah per se. So therefore, it's a mispronunciation, but it's not a misinterpretation or a miscommunication of the word of Allah Azza wa Jal. Thus, it wouldn't be as big of a problem. However, remember what we went over in the last lesson. We said, وَالْأَخْذُ بِالتَّجْوِيدِ حَتْمٌ لَازِمُ مَنْ لَمْ يُصَحِّحِ الْقُرْآنَ آثِمُ. And to apply the rules of tajweed is a must. Whoever does not try and correct their recitation of the Quran is sinful. So that's why we're here, alhamdulillah, to avoid these mistakes. But no, if let's say the imam makes a mistake like that, you don't have to stress and you don't have to repeat your salah. That's not a nullifying mistake.
Would you want to correct them though if they make a mistake like that?
Because it's not a mistake of changing the meaning, you wouldn't correct it within the salah. You would correct it after the salah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. Our third ruling. Remember, we have 4 rulings for nun sakin and tanween. Our third ruling is iqlab. Iqlab means to convert or to change. And the letters of iqlab are really easy to remember because it's ba. Iqlab, ba. Iqlab, ba. Nice and easy. If nun sakin or tanween is followed by a ba, then it's converted into a meme, and the reciter should make ghunna. This is a whole new character just dropped. We got a meme instead of a noon. So, for example, over here, I have my noon sakin, no fatha, no dhamma, no kasra, followed by a ba. Ba is one of my letters of iqlab. It's actually the only one. Hot tip: the writers of the Madani Mus'haf knew that this could be a bit confusing. So what they've done is they've put in there for you the meme already. So if you see this type of meme, a meme with the tongue pointing downwards, then that's also an indicator of iqlab. That's if you're using the classic Madani Mus'haf 1400 edition. That's the one that you'll find in most masjids. In this situation, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to switch my noon to a meme and then go into the ba. So I would say this one as لا ينبذن لا ينبذن لا ينبذن. We're going to take a quick detour here. What is meme? I explained how noon works. I'm going to explain to you how a meme works. Meme is also made out of 2 components. The first component is from the mouth. That is the 2 lips touching against each other, pressing against each other. Meh. 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 Exactly like the English letter M. The other component of the meme is the ghunna. That is, as we said, the nasal vibration that comes from the nose. If you start humming, you're going to feel it. So in this situation, we go لا ينبذن. You just completely forget the noon. Another one. We have nun sakin followed by a ba. I know it's going to be a iqlab. I'm going to switch over the noon to a meme. أنبئهم أنبئهم. I have an example here. Nawira, are you with us?
Yep.
All right. Bismillah. Can you explain to me this one here?
Explain to you. Oh yeah. There's on the noon. There's a meme sign, and it's just before the ba. So you pronounce the noon as meme.
Correct.
Right. That's right. Yep.
Yep. You switch the noon for a meme.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it sounds like mim baby. Mim badi. Sorry. Mim badi.
Perfect. Again.
Mim badi.
MashaAllah. And how long do you hold the meme sound?
2
2
harakat.
Correct.
Is that
harakat.
for like every, like for all 4 of them?
That is for any ghunna, any kind of nasal vibration that will come, and that's the meme or the noon or anything that comes under those 2. It will always be 2.
Okay, that's with the ghunna, but without ghunna, you don't do that.
Correct.
Okay, thank
Without
you.
ghunna, you skip that. All right, the next one we have. Oh, you know what? We have students in the class. We can choose.
There are harakat. Sorry, there are like nasal sounds that aren't ghunna though, right?
So give me an example.
What's this one? Never
No,
mind.
there shouldn't be. So
No.
you only ever use your nose when reading Quran and the letters of meme and noon. That's actually a big one. Actually, thank you for bringing that up. If you're reading Quran, you should not be engaging your nose for anything other than the meme or the noon or the tanween, of course. A lot of people, when they listen to recordings of the Quran and the recording might be like a little bit fuzzy from one of those old-timey radios, it'll give them that sense that there's like a bit of a hum going on in the background. So when they read from their nose. Like their nose is humming as they're reading everything else. They're like, "Qul huwallahu ahad," and you can hear it. That should not happen. You should be able to read the whole Quran, except for the meme, noon, and tanween, with your nose blocked, and it should sound the same. So I'm going to block my nose now. Qul huwallahu ahad. That should not have caused me any distress. That's how I know that I'm not engaging my nose for other letters that it should not be used in. That makes sense? All right, sweet. We're going to move on. I think that's enough examples for the iqlab. So iqlab is our third. Well, quick little rundown. Remember, we have four rulings. The first one is izhar, to make clear, and that is for the letters of the throat, hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. Our second one is idgham. That's for ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, nun, yarmuluna. Split into two parts. Idgham with ghunna, idgham without ghunna. Make sure you're reviewing your notes as I'm going over this. Idgham with ghunna, that is for the letters of ya, nun, mim, waw, yanmu. Idgham without ghunna. Idgham without ghunna, that is for the letters of lam and ra. Then we have iqlab, which means to switch, to convert or to change, and that is for the letter ba, noon sakin or tanween followed by the letter ba, in which case that noon or the tanween is going to be switched into a meme sound. All right, our last ruling, and that is the ruling of ikhfa. Ikhfa means to hide, and the letters of ikhfa are all the other letters in the alphabet except the ones that we've covered so far in izhar, iqlab, and idgham. So that is ta, tha, jim, dal, val, zay, sin, shin, sad, dad, ta, da, fa, qaf, kaf. I'll go over an easier way for you to remember this. But every other letter essentially applies here. So if any letter other than the letters of izhar, iqlab, or idgham follow noon sakin or tanween, the reciter should hide the noon sakin and make the ghunnah. So this is actually very, very similar to the idgham with ghunnah. I'm hiding the noon sakin, but I'm making the ghunnah sound. If the noon sakin or tanween is followed by a heavy letter, khussa daghtin qid, so that's the letters of kha, sad, dad, ghayn, ta, kaf, wa, then the sound of the ghunnah should also be heavy. If the noon sakin or the tanween is followed by a light letter, then the sound of the ghunnah should also be light. What do I mean by light letter and heavy letter? To simplify it, a heavy letter is one where you raise the back of your tongue to make it. For example, else, that's the letter side. And a light letter would be one where the back of the tongue lays low. S, that's the scene. Else, S, S. You should be able to hear that sound, that difference. So the tanween, the corresponding ghunnah, should sound like that heaviness or that lightness. Okay. We'll go through some examples. Over here, I have my noon sakin, got nothing on top, nothing on the bottom, and it's followed by the letter ta. Ta is one of my 15 other letters that come that are not in the other three rulings. So I know I'm going to do ikhfa. Sorry, oh. Where are we on? Ikhfa, yeah, I'm going to do ikhfa. So I'm going to hide the n component of the noon, and I'm going to only pronounce the ghunnah component of the noon. I'm going to make it light. لا تغني لا تغني لا تغني. Aya, you here?
Sorry, was that me?
Yes. How many harakat am I doing? How many counts am I making that ghunnah sound for?
Sorry, what?
How many counts? So for how long? How many harakat am I going to make that ghunnah sound? لا تغني.
Um,
Any
sorry.
number.
Any number? Two, three.
Two. Hold it for 2 harakat. لن تغني. Don't go too short. لن تغني. Don't go too long. لن تغني. That's wrong. 2 is a nice middle ground. Over here, I have the noon sakin followed by a tha. Sorry, I think it's looking a bit grainy on yours. It probably looks a bit pixelated on your end, but this is a tha. And the noon is sakin followed by that tha. Right, I know that we're going to do ikhfa, so I'm going to hide the n component of my noon, but I'm going to pronounce the ghunna component. So it's going to sound like mansura, mansura.
Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble with this. So
yes,
we're not supposed to pronounce the noon in this case, yeah?
The n component of the noon, yes.
The n component of the noon.
Mhm.
But in cases with, say, te or the, I feel like you're putting your tongue in the same place as you would for a noon. Or close to.
You're right, exactly. It's close to, and that's why you need to be careful with these ones. So do it nice and slowly. Mansura. Be careful not to let your tongue slip into the point of noon, and that's why it's easier to put your tongue at the place where the next letter is going to come. Don't put your tongue at the place of noon. Put it at the place of the other letter just before contact while you make that noon sound. That way you avoid hitting the noon by accident. So tha, for example, the makhraj for tha is between the 2 teeth and the tongue. So the tongue sticks out between the 2 teeth to make the sound. Put your tongue there, but don't push the air out to make the th sound. So that way it's almost like you're locked and loaded, you're ready to fire, but you're just waiting on that noon to follow through. Mansura. Try it. Mansura. Imam. Someone's in here with the name Imam. No? Okay, not here. Hayat, are you here?
Yeah.
All right. Can you please explain to me what's going on in this one here?
Yeah. So it's there's a noon sakin followed by one of the other letters that's no idhar, iqlab, or idgham. So we hide the noon sakin, so it would be imdi.
Again?
Imdi.
Indi.
Indi.
Good, mashallah. All right, and we'll stop here in terms of our examples of these letters. Just some important points to remember. Avoid placing the tongue at the point of the articulation of the noon when pronouncing the ghunnah. So that's, as I said before, the place of the noon, by the way, that's kind of the place where your tongue is being placed against the point where your gums meet your teeth. So avoid putting your tongue there when you're doing the ghunnah. What you should be doing is putting your tongue closer to the articulation of the ikhfa letter. So the next letter that's going to come, you should be locked and ready for that letter, not for the noon. The second one is avoid prolonging the haraka of the letter before the noon. So for example, minkum, ankum. You shouldn't make it long. You shouldn't go minkum or ankum. A fatha is just a, kasra is just I, dhamma is just u. Nice and short. And number 3, when the letter before the noon sakin has a dhamma, then the reciter should make the ghunnah in the state of sukoon without making the dhamma. So, kuntum. So the ghunnah should be in It should be flat. So all the ghunan are flat. You don't go, you don't go, like they're physically not possible. You don't go, no. It's just, the ghunna is always flat. It's not dhamma, kasra, or fatha. The ghunna should be heavy if the nun sakin or tanween is followed by a heavy letter, and it should be light if a nun sakin or tanween is followed by a light letter. We'll go over those later, but basically, any letter where the back of your tongue is raised is a heavy letter. Any letter where the back of your tongue is left to rest on the bottom of the mouth, that's a light letter. And the tanween, sorry, the ghunna should reflect that as well. All right, alhamdulillah. Now what we're going to do to consolidate all that theory knowledge that we learned, and I know we've gone quite a bit over my expected time for this, but alhamdulillah, we've learned a lot. Now we're going to go back to the words of the Shaykh that he wrote and see how we can explain them. We'll go one by one, and we've got the English here, and we'll see how well we understand it now. So the rules of nun sakin and tanween. للنون إن تسكن وللتنوين أربع أحكام فأخذ تبييني. So for the letter nun in its unvoweled state, meaning nun sakin, and the tanween, we have 4 rules. So take my clarification. The first rule is فالأول الإظهار قبل أحرف للحلق ست رتبت فلتعرفي. The first of those 4 rules is إظهار. إظهار is Abdul Shafi, what is إظهار in English?
Izhar would be to make something like, forgetting the word, but it's like to make it visible, to make it manifest, to make it so it's
clear.
Very clearly there.
Correct. To make it clear. That's when you make the n nice and pronounced. And that's the
I thought
first.
you were about to check myself. I was very scared.
So Izhar is to make it clear, and that is when the nun sakin or tanween comes before the letters of the throat, and they are 6 letters which are arranged in order, so be familiar with them. These are the 6 letters of the throat, and as we talked about them, همز فهاء ثم عين حاء مهملتان ثم غين خاء. Hamza, ha, ain, ha, and then the ghain and kha. He says over here, muhmalatani, they lack the diacritical marks. This was just his little kind of side comment that he wanted to put in, little Easter egg for the fans. Ain and ha don't have any dots on them. He just thought it was really, for some reason, actually for a very important reason, he wanted to make sure that people know ain and ha are the 2 letters that don't have any dots in these 6. والثاني إضغام بستة أتت في يرملون عندهم قد ثبتت. And the second rule is our إضغام. And they come in 6 letters, which can be found in the word يرملون. Ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, nun. And these are well established. However, لكنها قسمان قسم يضغم فيه بغنة بينمو علما. However, these are divided into 2 groups. The ruling of إضغام is divided into 2 groups. I'm sure you guys all know that. You've got it all down. The first is the one where ghunna occurs, and that is known by the letters in the word yanmu, ya, nun, mim, waw, yanmu. إلا إذا كان بكلمة فلا تدغم كدنيا ثم صنوان تلا. Except when it occurs within the same word. Remember how we said the ruling of idgham only occurs to between words, does not apply within the same word. So examples of that would be dunya or sinwan. Then we do our izhar instead of idgham. So we make it clear instead of merging.
So just to be clear, the exception of it occurring in a single word, is that when you're dealing with idgham with ghunna or just idgham in general?
In general, any idgham letter that's going, any idgham letter any nun sakin followed by an idgham letter in the same word will always be idhar. There's only 4, by the way. There's only 4. There's only 4 words that this happens in. Dunya, sinwan, qinwan, bunyan. All right. And the
Are you saying
second,
that there are only 4 words in the entire Quran where
this
there
rule
is a situation of idgham, but it's within one word. So there's a situation of a nun sakin or tanween followed by one of the yarmaluna letters.
Correct. Only one situation in the whole Quran like that.
One.
Sorry,
or-
only four. Only four.
Okay,
Only
yeah,
four words, and they are repeated sometimes though.
yeah.
All right. والثاني إدغام بغير غنة في اللام والراء ثم كررنه. And the second ruling of idgham, the second group of idgham, is the idgham without the ghunnah, with the absence of ghunnah. And that is when nun sakin is followed by lam or ra. Then observe takrir of the ra, meaning make sure you roll your r. You ever hear people talking about rolling your r's? Rrrr. Make sure if there's a shadda on the ra, you do that rrrr sound. That was like a cool little tip he just wanted to leave in there, unrelated to the nun sakin or tanween. والثالث الإقلاب عند الباء ميما بغنة مع الإخفاء. And the third rule is إقلاب, meaning to switch, as we said, or to convert. And that is only when the nun sakin or tanween is followed by the letter of ba. So we convert our nun into a meme with a ghunnah whilst applying إخفاء, which basically is just a long way of saying skip the nun, make it a meme instead. والرابع الإخفاء عند الفاضل من الحروف واجب للفاضل. And the fourth ruling of nun sakin or tanween is إخفاء. Sorry, over here. The fourth rule is إخفاء, meaning to hide, and that applies to all the remaining letters, and it is obligatory in its distinguishment for those who have studied the science. Meaning, if you've learned this, if you're learning tajweed right now, as you are, which applies to all of you guys, then you must apply this rule. So you hide that nun sakin or tanween when followed by any of these remaining letters. في 5 من بعد 10 رمزها في كلم هذا البيت قد ضمنتها. In 15 letters, you can find the combination of these letters of إخفاء, and I've put them into this one line. Basically, remember how I said that I listed out to you the 15 letters of إخفاء, and that's basically any letter that doesn't apply to the first three rulings. And the Sheikh here, what he did is he composed a line. The first letter of each word in this line is a letter of إخفاء. He says صف ذا ثنا كم جاد شخصا قد سما دم طيبا زد في تقى ضع ظالما. Again. صف ذا ثنا كم جاد شخصا قد سما دم طيبا زد في تقى ضع ظالما. So that's صاد ذال ثا كاف جيم شين قاف دال طا زاي فا ثا ضاد ظا. A lot to remember. You can just remember them as all the other letters. And I think we'll end the lesson with this. And we'll tie it back. These lessons are lessons of tajweed primarily, of course. But remember, we are Muslims and we're studying the science of the Quran as those who believe in the Quran as the word of Allah. And we know that the Quran is more than just the way that we read it. We're not here just to read it in the microphones or for the recordings. We're reading it because it should apply to our lives as well. And so the Sheikh here gives us a piece of advice. Even in his book or his poem on tajweed, he puts in a piece of advice for you to apply in your personal life. So learn it and take heed. He says, صف ذا ثنا, describe the possessor of praise. The person who's praiseworthy, describe him. Talk about him. How generous is a person who has attained such status? He uses the word sama, like the one who has reached the sky. Someone who's praised so much by the righteous people that he's reached the sky with his praise. How generous does that person have to be? Generosity is directly linked with being praised. And then very straightforward advice, he says, always be good. دم طيبة. زد في تقى. Increase your piety. Increase your consciousness of Allah. Always be conscious of Allah. دع ظالما. Leave an oppressor. Don't concern yourself. Anyone who is oppressing you, if there is a way for you to leave them and to leave that oppression, leave them. Always be good. Increase your piety. Leave an oppressor. دم طيبا زد في تقى ضع ظالما. And this here is a statement of gold. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us all to act upon it. Now, I'm conscious of the time. This has been quite a hefty chapter. I did say we're going to do recitation for everyone after, but I think what we'll do is we'll move that to our drop-in sessions, inshallah, starting next week. Next week, we're going to start the drop-in sessions, and I'm going to be sending out the calendar for that soon, in which we can practice our recitation. But in general, make sure that you've got the notes for this down. If you don't have them down, ask a friend. If you're really cooked, you can email otagoquranstudyclub@gmail.com for the recording of this video, for those who are here. And if that's going to help you to retake your notes, that will be really helpful. And then in your own personal time, when you're reading Quran or when you're praying, try and apply these rules. Try and keep them in mind. Okay. Any questions? Any general questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
In Iqlab, so you said meme is made up of two parts, right? The lips touching, which makes the m sound, and then there's the nasal vibration, right?
Yeah.
And I think when you have a meme followed by a ba, you do not pronounce the m sound, like كأنه بنيان مرصوص, for example. Is that correct?
No, this one is كأنهم بنيان.
Okay, so in Iqlab, you also pronounce both parts of the meme, the m sound and the ghunna sound, when you're replacing the noon with a meme.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet. Any other questions from the brothers?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I had a just brief question there, but are these rules sort of particular to the Quran, or would they also apply when one's reciting salawat, adhkar, or potentially reading a qasida or something like that?
We're not as stringent with those rules. So the rules, yeah, I don't want to say yes and then put you under the pressure that you have to do it like that. However, yes, the best way to say, for example, Subhanallah, is to apply the rules of tajweed for that with that noon and all that. However, if a person can't do that, then it's okay. It's okay if they can't. But yes, the rules of tajweed, we are stringent. We are very kind of tight with them when it comes to the Quran, because remember, the Quran is the word of Allah. When you're quoting Allah, it makes sense. When it comes to other things, we take a bit of a lighter stance.
Yeah, right. So, but they are still, I think I was more meaning like it's not like it's a science particular to it. So, like, for example, like the noon or the tanween with a ya afterwards, if even, in, reciting, reading a hadith or anything like that, like you should still follow that particular elision rule of pronunciation.
Oh, right. No, not 100%, because there are some things which make the Quran unique. So, for example, the mad, وَالسَّمَاءَ. If you're reading a hadith, you wouldn't say it like that, or any kind of normal speech. You don't include that. So there are some rules of tajweed which only apply to the Quran, and they don't apply to any human speech.
Right. Jazakallah khair.
Any other questions from the brother? Yeah.
Is there like a distinction, or I guess maybe there is obviously a distinction. Is there, will we cover, I guess, what rules of tajweed apply to normal written Arabic versus what apply to the Quran?
Well, that would be really cool, but unfortunately that's beyond the scope of this lesson.
Gotcha.
But you can find that information online. It's there's only a few points. Any other questions from the brothers? All right. Oh, Jazakallah khairan, brother Asrar. That's very helpful. There you go. So you can click the link he sent in the chat. By the way, guys, when I put up the when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the chat questions until much later. So always just chime in verbally or message me, and I'll see if I can get to it. Also, another thing, keep in mind, we are taking attendance. So for those who are here, we do know when you come in, we do know when you come out. Can I make a suggestion for those coming in the future? Please come in with your full names. If you're, for example, a lady, you're not comfortable coming in with your full name, that's all right. You can come in with a kunya, with a nickname or something. We'll just try and connect your name to the name that you used when you signed up for the course initially, just so we can keep track of that. Sweet. Any other question from the brothers?
Wait, for the drop-in sessions,
yeah,
is that like practicing for the actual poem?
No, so that's just practicing your general Quran recitation.
Oh, okay, sweet. Jazakallah khair.
Well, yeah. Anything else from the brothers? All right, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan, guys. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to ask the brothers to excuse themselves now, and we'll give the sisters an opportunity to ask some questions.